She didn't run. She didn't hide. She just asked, "Are the carols still playing?" It was 11:03 p.m. on Christmas Eve, in a town so small it didn't even have a stoplight. Snow drifted softly across the street, muffling the sounds of the few cars that passed, and a neighbor heard something that didn't belong. Not a scream, not a crash, just a dull thud. 10 seconds later, fire. By the time police arrived at the cabin on Maple Ridge Road in Pine Hollow, Vermont, Christmas carols were still playing inside. Outside, in the snow, lay Daniel Reeves, 58 years old. Standing nearby was Lena Voss, 32, barefoot, her feet red and numb from the winter cold, wearing a red Santa robe, a gift from Daniel himself 2 Christmases before. She calmly told officers, "I just killed my angel." And then she asked that strange, haunting question again. Are the carols still playing? Why would she ask that? Why stay? Why not run? Investigators would never fully understand that night. Daniel Reeves was retired, financially stable, and known for his quiet generosity. He lived alone in a cabin on the outskirts of town, surrounded by pines heavy with snow. Every December, he decorated early, strung extra lights along the driveway so travelers wouldn't miss the turn, and kept his porch lights on late into the night. One friend told investigators, "He didn't save people to feel good, he saved them because he remembered what it was like to be lost." In 2020, Daniel met Lena Voss at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in Burlington. She was young, broken, and exhausted from years of addiction. He saw someone struggling, someone desperate to hold on, and he believed he could help her find the light again. For 2 years, he paid for rehab, offered her a place to stay in his guest house, and supported supervised visits with her young daughter, Marley. He even bought gifts for Marley when visitation was denied. To some, it looked like kindness. To others, a fragile hope held together by a thread. Lena had struggled with addiction for years, rehab, relapse, estrangement from Marley. Her life had been marked by abandonment. Her father disappeared before her first birthday. Her mother, working double shifts at a diner, did her best to raise her alone. Hope often felt fleeting, a distant memory. By December 2022, that loss weighed heavily, like a stone she carried in her chest. Every day felt like walking on thin ice. Every text from Daniel a reminder of her failures. Every thought of Marley a reminder of what she could lose forever. A journal recovered from the cabin revealed her inner torment, pages smudged as if cried over. "If I lose Marley again, there's no coming back. Belief doesn't stop the shaking." Text messages entered into evidence show Daniel growing increasingly concerned. On December 20th, he wrote, "If you're not clean by New Year's, I'm calling CPS about Marley's visits." To Daniel, a warning. To Lena, high, paranoid, drowning in shame, it was a death sentence for the one thing she had left. Before we go further, pause. Investigators never believed the fire was meant to hide anything. They believed it was meant to mean something. So ask yourself, was this an act of rage or an act of belief? Because the answer changes everything that follows. On Christmas Eve, Daniel sat on his porch swing, a mug of hot cocoa in his hands, the lights on the cabin casting a warm glow across the snow. He was peaceful, unaware that the night would end in horror. Lena watched from the tree line, her heart racing, her mind a storm of fear, desperation, and delusion. She walked through the snow to the garden, her bare feet crunching faintly. She picked up a river stone, 7 pounds of cold, wet granite, and came up behind him. She swung once, then twice. A third time just to be sure. There was no scream, no struggle, just the soft crunch of snow and silence. Then she walked to the shed, grabbed a gas can, and poured gasoline over his body. She didn't set the fire to hide the crime. She set it to send him away, to erase what she feared she could lose, Marley. The police arrived minutes later. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was calm. "I just killed my angel." And then, hauntingly, "Are the carols still playing?" Forensic analysis confirmed what the investigators suspected. 3 strikes to the back of the head with a river stone from Daniel's garden. Gasoline poured post-mortem. Toxicology revealed fentanyl, meth, and benzodiazepines in her system, enough to trigger psychosis, delusions, even violence. Digital evidence added layers to the story. A Google search 2 days prior, "How fast do you die from head trauma?" Surveillance footage of Lena filling a gas can that afternoon. A photo in her pocket, Marley smiling in reindeer ears from last year's Christmas. To prosecutors, this was cold calculation. To defense, drug-induced psychosis. In Vermont, second-degree murder requires intent, but not premeditation. The jury had to decide, was this madness or a message? In March 2023, they chose intent. Guilty. Sentence, 22 years to life. The cabin now sits empty, the porch swing removed. Lena writes letters to Marley every month. None have been opened. Marley lives with extended family. But one detail lingers. Officers found 2 mugs on the porch swing, both still warm. Beside them, 2 gift tags on small boxes. One read Dad, the other Mom. Who was Mom for? Lena, the woman Daniel hoped she could become? Marley, the child he treated like his own? Or a future that never had the chance to exist? Investigators never answered, and maybe that's the point. Snow returns each winter, softening the edges of the world, but the memory of that night lingers in Pine Hollow. Some say you can still hear the faint notes of silent night when the wind blows just right, a reminder of a life lost and a woman who believed the only way to hold on was to break everything else. Daniel's cabin, the porch swing, the lights, all gone now. But the story remains. The questions remain. What drives someone to kill the one person trying to save them? How much fear, shame, and addiction does it take before reason slips away? And in the end, can love and despair exist in the same heartbeat? If this story stayed with you, not because it shocks, but because it quietly refuses to let go, like this video. Subscribe for true crime told with care and context. Turn on notifications because the next story will haunt quietly too. And once you hear it, you won't forget it. Because in the end, the music didn't stop when Daniel Reeves died. It stopped when people stopped listening. And some stories only fade when we let them.